Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to our MAT123 Abstract Algebra. This is a course offered by LD Woosley, Bethany College. Welcome, Micaela. Ayun, parang choppy ka. Anyway, welcome. Today we'll be discussing Module 1-4 as we continue. Yun lang, may mga technical issue lang kanina. So hopefully our transmission will push through. So just pulling down my notes. Now for the prelim, just wait for my upload, Micaela. No? Anyway, it will be extended. Kailan ko in-upload yung deadline? It will be extended. Hindi ko lang magawa pa ngayon. I have other things to do. Yeah, but just prepare for the exam file. Pag nandiyan form, saka na lang i-upload. I don't know if Dale was able to do it. Did Dale know the content of the prelim examination? All right. So we're now on 1.4. This is about groups. So this is the heart now of algebra, the groups. Medyo mahina lang talaga itong PC ko. The lecture note we have for prelim period, I'll just continue here for our midterm. Yeah, I'll just settle this. Right. Tagal lang magpapa. Okay, so let's open the word of prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the time. Bless our this time for study, particularly in abstract algebra. I pray for your mercy and grace that continually be bestowed us this afternoon. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen. So we have the group. Yeah, saglit lang. So its definition, we could see here on section 1-4, the definition of group. Now there are, nawala. Okay. Okay, so this is our lecture today. So we define groups. No, there are three properties for a group given the set of numbers. No, perhaps G, and then the operation. Okay, so for the set of numbers and operation, and of course this asterisk a binary operation we have learned from the previous topic on homomorphism topic last time. No, so I suppose you still recall that. Acknowledging our Sir RC Pinoy for our welcome to our abstract algebra class. Salamat Sir RC Pinoy. Yan po siya sa YouTube channel. Thank you, Sir RC. Welcome to our abstract algebra class. So, Micaela, remember for groups, there are three things that you need to know. For it to be a group of a certain set of numbers, defined set of numbers, and its binary operation, first and foremost, it must be associative. So it has a component of associativity for all of the elements of the set of numbers. For instance, G of 1, for all A, B, and C values are elements of G, and this asterisk is associative. So there must be an associativity as far as this number set is concerned. No? So yung associativity is very important. So for this case, A asterisk B quantity asterisk C is equal to A asterisk quantity B asterisk C. So this is similar to our college algebra. In fact, we derive the properties of equality on your college algebra based on the study of groups. Kaya nga dito on the introductory notes, okay? So groups are really related to what is classically known as algebra or the set, number set. No? So because it defines a group. A set of number plus its binary operation defines the group, particularly its associativity. And then the second to remember is the identity. Is my audio clear, Micaela?
Opo, sir.
Okay lang. Yan. So there is identity. Una, associativity. Secondly is identity. There must be an identity element within the range of numbers, no? And of course, the definition here is that G, dito kanina sa ating definition ng group, is a set of G and a binary operation such that G is closed under, no? So there is a closure property applied. So automatic yan, pag may associativity, closure ang basis niyan. Kapag mayroong distributive, closure. Kapag mayroong transitivity, property, closure. Palaging ina-assume na closure. No, may closure siya. So for this case, G is close to the operation asterisk. For G sub 1, ABC element of G is associative. Number 2, its identity element I. Normally, or sometimes we could assign a variable here, E. There's such an E that's an element of G, such that when we have E asterisk X would be equal to X asterisk E, which is equal to X. So that's an identity element. And then thirdly, which will create a group, is the inverse. There must be an existence of the inverse of the set or the element of the set A, which is A prime, designated as A prime. But that A prime is also the element of that number set, no? Element of G, such that A asterisk A prime is equal to A prime times A by virtue of associate or commutative, no? There must be a sense of commutativity here. Pinakita lang kung yung inverse of A ang nauna kaysa A, walang problema, no? So pero pareho lang ang sense niyan, and that will result to the identity element. So for addition, we have 0 as an additive identity, but for multiplication, we have 1 as a multiplicative identity. Ayan, for the case of algebra, we have the additive identity, which is 0, and the multiplicative identity element, which is 1. Okay, so yan yung application niya sa college algebra, but this is more of a generic representation. No, that you have A times A prime is also equal to A prime times A, which is your identity element E. Okay, clarification, Micaela, for this. So tatlong bagay yung dapat mong tandaan when we define a group. There must be associativity, identity, and inverse. All the grounds of which is closure property. No, yung tatlong ito closure dapat eh. Palaging may closure yan. Pansin mo yung mga elements concerned, it must be close to a particular group of numbers. For instance, integers, you have rational expression or number, and then complex number, etc. and etc. Okay, next to this, perhaps an example that we could give for such a group would be your real numbers, and it's the positive real numbers, or perhaps real numbers and the positive operation or the plus operation. All right, there must be an associativity. In fact, you could take an example on this. No, we could test the associativity of addition, no, along with the range of real numbers. So it's possible. Then for Z or integer, yes, it's very possible. When you add two integers, also integer, right? And there for integers, there is an identity element, 0 for this case, because 0 is the identity element for addition. as well as rational numbers. So rational din siya, whether it's fraction or whole number, these are rational. And then the complex as well. So you have complex number, there are means where we could apply this to a complex number. Okay, another infinite group, I would say, aside from this, by the way, Micaela, these four are what we call infinite groups. Real number and the plus operation. You have integer and a plus, rational and a plus, and complex. Okay, so these are infinite groups, meaning it has a wide variety of elements to infinite number of elements. Another infinite group is a set of n by n invertible matrices. No? So there is a convertible or comparable matrices or invertible matrices rather. No? So invertible meaning there is an inverse of a matrix. Okay, under matrix multiplication. So we could categorize that as general linear group of order n. So that is this parameter. So yung GL, that's general linear, and then you have order n, and of course element of real numbers. Okay, one example that is mentioned here, the text also mentions the infinite group of complex numbers in the form e raised to I theta, where theta is an element of real numbers under multiplication. No? So under multiplication. And of course, we could always look at this as a finite group. If there are infinite group, there are finite group of modulo addition. There are modulo addition operation is a group. And roots of a unity of complex plane. So yung complex plane, pwede rin siya ma-apply. Form a finite group under multiplication. In fact, this isomorphic binary structure and hence isomorphic groups. Kapag ang grupo ay isomorphic, ano nga po, could you still recall those four properties of isomorphic numbers or sets? You still recall those four properties of being isomorphic? Micaela? Kaya acknowledging Jimson Gabito TV. Salamat sa iyo, Jimson. What are those four isomorphic properties?
Yung ba yung
Yeah, so you could always review your notes. Nandiyan yung apat, no? No, ang point ko dito, kapag ito ay grupo, meaning meron kang associativity, identity, at inverse relation applied to the isomorphic group, isomorphic sets, it's called an isomorphic group. Nagiging tinatawag siyang isomorphic group. So, if this is a finite group under multiplication or addition, in fact, these are isomorphic binary structures. Now, these are binary structures, hence isomorphic groups. Kung makikita natin yung associativity, yung identity, sa inverse property. On top of the four properties of your isomorphic structures. Doon sa 1-3 natin. Okay? So anyway, you know that, you just recall. Then another special type of group, aside from the three properties, associativity, identity, and inverse, that would create a group. Of course, under the closure property yan, yung tatlo na yan. No, closure muna ang basis. A, B, C are elements of real number perhaps. Therefore, the sum, or whatever the operation, or the asterisk, the result will be close, no, to the type of number. For instance, real number, rational number, integers, and complex number. So, but if a group such that G is the set G, and there is the binary operation asterisk, or just G for short, no, is an abelian, actually based doon sa isang mathematician, tinawag, if its binary operation is commutative. So there is commutativity. On top of the associativity, identity, and inverse, there's what we call commutativity. commutative siya. Alright, so that would make it not just a group, but an abelian group. Ayan, tingnan mo yan, Michaela, abelian group siya. So, abelian group is a group that has also commutativity as on its binary operation. So, you could apply commutativity for abelian group here. Ayan. So, the groups are Z, Q, C, and others. No? So, the mentioning here previously are abelian groups. They're not just groups, but also called abelian because of the commutative property. So also the group invertible n by n matrix under, or sa square matrix, I would say under matrix multiplication is non-abelian. Meaning, if you will, hindi iba yung lalabas kapag yung 2 by 2 matrix, not necessarily equivalent matrix, no? Or 3 by 3, pag in-interchange mo yung ano niya, yung factor niya, it will have different result. So it's not confined to invertible matrix, particularly square matrix, wherein you could get the matrix multiplication, but if you will commutate the matrix, it will not have the same answer. So therefore, it's non-abelian. So out of the things that had been mentioned here, these are non-abelian groups. Okay? So, and then we have this operation. So this includes 0 as well. So when say Q asterisk, 0 plus all of the positive rational expression. So non-zero numbers under multiplication are abelian groups. Of course, non-zero numbers. Pero dito kasi sinama yung ano eh. This one is for positive, I would say, no? So kaya non-zero numbers. So it could be negative or positive one. But this non-zero. Okay? So there are exercise here. We can also consider multiplication of modulo. For instance, 5 times 7, the subscript, no? So meaning modulo 7, 6 is equal to 2. So this is under the integer z sub 7 or modulo 7. Now because 5 times 6 is equal to 4 times 7 plus 2. So the set 1357 with multiplication modulo 8 is a group. Okay, so these are exercise, but we could always look at that. So tingnan natin yung mga exercise. We could answer some exercise. Actually, konti-konti lang yung lecture dito, Micaela. So we could always practice doon sa exercise. Okay, I will be opening the exercise file for 1-4. Then we could answer. Then I will be just, nag-assign na ako sa 1-3, no, Micaela? Tama? I have assigned some portion. Hello, Micaela?
Opo, sir.
Nag-assign na ako, no? Ilang numbers yung inassign natin sa ano? Sa 1-3?
5 po.
5. Ano-anong number yun?
5, 7, 10, 13, 15 po.
Okay. Anyway, siguro before, magdadagdag na lang tayo doon. So you just take note of those numbers as part of our take home for midterm period. So we have a lengthy discussion here on your modules. You just read it. So what I'm presenting is a brief presentation. So we could look at this exercise. Okay. So exercise 1 to 6, determine whether the binary operation asterisk or multiplication gives a group structure on a given set. So identify natin kung this is a group or not. No? Okay, ano nga uli yung G1, yung test natin, first test is for being a group. Michaela. Okay, so associativity. So there must be associativity. Secondly, ano yung sumunod? It must be associative. It must be number 1. Number 2. Must be hindi, yung commutative abelian yun. Mamaya pa yun. So group lang. So tatlo lang siya, di ba? Yung associativity, number 1, identity, and inverse. So yun yung tatlong existing dapat doon sa set, no, or sa binary operation, so that it will be a group structure or simply a group on a given set. If no group results given the first axiom in order G1, G2, G3 from the definition 4-1, which is that yung tatlong criteria na yun, that does not hold. Alright, so let's look at number 1. We let asterisk or multiplication be defined on Z, which is integer, by letting A asterisk B is equal to AB. So what do you think of that? Any comments with number 1? By the way, Dale should be here, no? Tama? Wala ba si Dale?
Nandito na po siya kanina. Nag-invite po.
Nandito. Yun. So far, wala pa yun. Okay, what do you think of number 1? Is it a group or not? What do you think? Is it a group? So yung Z mo, by letting A asterisk B is equal to A times B. That's the definition of A asterisk. By the way, yung asterisk is binary operation yan. It could mean other things depending on your definition. So kung integer, so yan, sige. Oh, ang tanong, commutative ba? Halimbawa, you name an integer. You name 2 integers, Michaela, kasi under C to eh. Define on C.
3, 4.
3 and 4. 3 and 4.
Yes po.
Okay, so if 3 and 4, if AB, is it equal to BA? 3 times 4 is equal to 4 times 3?
Yes po.
Yes. which is equal to 12. Is 12 close to integer?
Yes po.
Yes. So yung G1, check. How about G2? Is there an existing identity among the integers, set of integers, wherein when you multiply 1 to that element, the answer is that the same element? Ah. Is there an identity element E na tinutukoy kanina doon sa lecture natin, doon sa lecture notes? Kasi we need to test this tree.
Yung 1 po, diba po?
Okay, 1 is part of the Z, no? So therefore, number 2 is checked. There is an identity element. Or how about the third one? And the identity element is close to integer. All right? Close to integer. Oh. Let's how about the third one, which is the inverse property? Yan. Okay? So how about the inverse? Is there an existing inverse of each of the elements? For instance, the one that you have chosen, 3 and 4. Is there an existing inverse? Oh, wait. Welcome, Dale. How are you? Ayan. Is there an existing inverse of 3 and 4? Micaela?
Di po ba yung 1/4, 1/3?
Oo, siyempre. So, 1/3 and 1/4. Ang tanong, is 1/3, 1/4 close to Z?
Hindi po.
Hindi. So, therefore, G3 failed. So, therefore, anong conclusion sa number 1? Therefore, what's your conclusion? If it fails on one of the properties of being a group, therefore, it's not a group. Number 1 is not a group. Okay, make sense?
Okay po, sir.
Alright. So, next. So, we have here number 2. Sige, isa-isahin natin to. Oh, kita-kita daily. Nandito ka sa stream. Yan. Kaya yung dalawa kayo dito ni Micaela. Yan, I could see you. Pero, tatanggalin ko na to. Yan. Para medyo malaki-laki yung aking ano. So, kita-kita din, both in Restream and YouTube. No? Alright. So, let's analyze number 2. Okay? So, let asterisk be defined as 2z. No? It was defined by 2z is equal to 2n such that n is an element of z, integer, by letting a and b, a asterisk b, be equal to a plus b. Alright. So there is this no? Defined on 2z. So double the integer, no? So it's always double 2n such that n is an element of z. So whatever the n, it's twice. Okay. Let's test the associativity. Yeah, so yan ang guidelines natin dyan, no? So G1 for all ABC element of G. There's associativity and there's identity. There exists an identity element and there is an inverse. All right, there's an inverse. So if you will apply it here, so apply natin yung commutativity. So is it commutative by inspection, Micaela? Or associativity? Though your A asterisk is defined as A plus B. So,
Pag associativity po ba, magdadagdag akong third value? Di ba po
tama din.
po?
Pakiulit.
Yung test po ng associativity, di ba po maggamit ng isa pang variable?
Oh, ABC.
Hindi po siya associative.
Hindi sa associative. For instance, A mo ay 1, 2, 3, halimbawa. So yung nahulog si Dale. So yung 1, 2, 3, actually kanina commutativity ang ginamit. Kaya yung number 1, abelian, ano rin yan eh. Though hindi pa rin siya group, no, pero may pagka-abelian siya yung number 1. Kasi commutative. Pero it does not matter kasi it fails in G3. So hindi siya group. So dito, so for instance, i-define natin yung 1, 2, 3, no? ABC, 1, 2, 3. So AB times C. It means A plus B plus C. So ganun ang ibig sabihin niya. Which is equal to A times BC. Kung tatranslate mo yan sa operational definition niya, that would be A plus BC. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 siya. So anong niyan? So what's the answer? A plus B plus C. So 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6. Same as true with 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is also 6. So it will fall on associativity. Meron siya associativity. Alright? So anyway, when you multiply 2, dahil ang definition dito ay twice the integer. So the set is always twice the integer. No? Kasi mangyayari dyan always twice, no? Alright. So ang parang pagiging set mo ay instead na 1, 2, 3, it's twice. It's 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. Yan, 2, 4, 6 siya. Alright? How about, sige, how about yung yung kanyang identity? Actually, kasama rin yung 0 eh. 0, 2, 4, 6. Ganun siya. 0, 2, 4, 6. Something like that.
Identity po.
there's an identity element, 0. So, meron tayong 0 dun eh. 0, 2, 4, 6. Depende kasi to eh. Kasi finite group to. So dapat tingnan natin yung ibang exercise dito. May proving dito eh. Anyway, these are all theorems, no? So I'm not much interested with proving, but more on concept only. So yes, there's an identity. Halimbawa, iikot lang siya sa iikot lang siya sa 0, 2, 4, 6. Makakagawa ka ng table niyan eh. Makakagawa tayo ng Kylie's table. So 0, 2, 4, 6. So parang actually hindi na to normal na ano eh. Hindi na normal na college algebra. It's beyond that. Sige, I will pull down my word para ma-explain sa'yo. Dala lang ng ano ko. Actually, kahapon pa naghihirap tong laptop ko eh. Isang araw pa. No? Even my morning devotion today has very poor transmission because of my performance. Not necessarily on the internet because we have a passer fiber connection, but the computer itself. Perhaps I need replacement, but I don't have resources to replace it. That's my dilemma. All right, so perhaps I would combine to tatlo, no? May 0, 2, 4. 0, 2. So kung ang definition niya, di ba 1, no, palagi ido-double lang natin. No? So 1 plus 1 or 0 plus 0, it means 2 plus times 2. Palaging times 2 yung sagot, no? Kasi 2n eh. So kung 0, alright, kung 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So, ito yung ano, no? Ito yung identity element. So, parang 0, alright? So, you have 0 plus 2 here, 2. And then 0 plus 4 is 4. So, still, yan yung table natin. 2 plus 2. Pasok ba? 4, no? So, kasi times 2 palagi to. Pero, ang sa original, 1, 2, 3 lang yan. Pero dahil 2n yung ginamit natin, yun ang nilitaw dito. Ano kaya yung 2 plus 4? What's the answer?
6 po.
Wala naman 6 eh. Mamili ka lang sa 0, 2, 4. Parang ginawa ko siyang finite. Ginawa ko siyang finite. Anong sagot? Di ba nagulat ka, hindi 6. Pero if you will just be contained to 0, 2, 4, ano dapat maging sagot niya? Okay, 4 ang sagot ni Dale. Hindi. Ang tamang sagot ay 2. Now, 2 plus 4 supposedly 6. No? But the remainder is 2. So, 2. So, kasi kada 4, babalik kay, after 4, babalik na naman kay 0. It must be 0. Sorry, I'm sorry. It must be 0. So, kasi, 2, 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 4 is supposedly 6, pero wala naman 6, kaya 0. Alright? Ayan. Tapos, dito, so para may pattern, no? 0 plus 4 is 4, 2 plus 4 is 6, but this is 0. And then 4 plus 4, what's 4 plus 4? So, mababali yung algebra nyo dito, college algebra. Then, this is 2. So, yan yung magiging table niya. Alright? So, there is this table. For of course, meron kang identity element. Now, there is an identity element for this. Now, can we define the inverse function? I'll go back to our requirement here. Yan. So, kapag minultiply mo siya, dapat babalik doon sa identity element. Ang tanong, may bumalik ba sa identity element? May bumalik ba? So, kung identified natin ay kung ang identity element natin ay 0, would that mean that there is what we call the inverse? What would be the inverse of 4, which is minus 4? No? Yeah. So, minus 4. Halimbawa, 2. Yung inverse talaga dito ay we cannot express it into negative operation kasi definition niya ay positive. Positive number lang. So, ano ngayon yung inverse niya? So, ang inverse niya kung saan magiging 0 siya. Pag kinuha mo yung sum nun, obviously, for 0, it's 0. So, therefore, it follows that the reverse of your 2 for the system of number is 4. Because 2 plus 4 is 0. And 4 plus 2 is 0 na parang naano natin, no? Itong A times A prime is equal to A prime times A, no? Which is equal to E. And we identify E as your identity element. Therefore, the inverse of 2 for the system, assuming we just use 0, 2, 4 as our element, No, 0, 2, 4 ay ayan. So 2 plus 4 is 0. So therefore, ang 4 inverse ni 2. Nakuha mo ba, Micaela? So ganyan 'yon. But it does not, wag natin isipin yung college algebra. Nasa abstract algebra tayo. So acknowledging Sir John Music. Salamat sa iyo, Sir John. Thank you for dropping by. Gets ba, Micaela? Mukhang ano, no? Mukhang yayanigin ang ating college algebra pag ganito. So therefore, it follows that there's an existence of inverse. That's the point there. And that is G3. So that's correct. So there is, yes, that's a group. That's a group. Yun kasi, yung sa number 1, hindi natin mapakita yun dahil fraction. Kaya automatically, hindi siya defined. No, it's not defined. For number 1. Number 2, yes, nakikita natin in this Kylie's. By the way, this is what we call Kylie's table. Now, C-A-Y-L-E-Y'(S), Kylie's table. Siya yung una sa mga nag-aral ng abstract algebra on the early 19th century. So, Kylie's table. So, this is an example of a Kylie's table, wherein its seeming does not have meaning at all, but because if you would like to provide a group, now you need to be confined to the elements of that defined group. For this case, I define the group since it's an integer and twice an integer, so it must be an even number. No? And I just get 3 elements, which is 0, 2, and 4. And there must be, needs to be conform to, it needs to conform to the 3 properties, which is associativity, identity, and inverse. So for this case, 2 and 4 are inverse elements to each other. Okay, let's go on. Number 3. So clarification, Micaela. So that's number 4. Oops. All right. That's for number 1 is no. The answer is no. Ang tanong dyan ay kung siya ay group, no? Anong na-violate? Yung G3 fails. For number 2, and here's the table. Number 2 is yes. Yes. Okay, let's look now at number 3. Adele, you could participate if you want. We're now identifying whether the set of numbers illustrated here are part of the group or it's a group. Group structure. In technical term, is it a group structure? Meaning it has associativity, it has identity, and it has inverse. All of which the elements are close to a particular set of numbers. So for this case, this time it's a real positive number. R plus means real positive numbers. So we define now your binary operation na asterisk as to the square root of AB. So everything should be subjected to the square root of AB. All right? What do you think, Micaela? The very first question, is it associative? How about you, Del? You could type there on the YouTube, is number 3 associative? Now you could test, you could set your A and B, any real numbers. I would suggest you input an integer for simplicity. All right? And then you identify whether it's close to real numbers. Or there are exemptions. There are exemptions for being a real number. by inspection. What do you think, Micaela?
Ano po, if one number is negative.
Okay, but the given is positive. Are positive.
Mm.
Yan. So nothing to do with negative numbers. So ang point dito, palaging exist yung square root dapat supposedly. Since the root should be always positive, the radicand is always positive to have a real roots. But if that would have a negative radicand, no, yung nasa loob ng radical symbol, it could have an imaginary, but it's beyond. No, it is said to have an R positive. The element should be positive real numbers. Odell, you could tell me whether it's associative or not. Siguro I could have some samples here. So dito sa number 1, bakit sige, ano natin, isa-isahin natin. So yung test 1, yung G1, associative. Unahin ko yung ano kanina, no? So, halimbawa, A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, C is equal to 3, all of which are Z. They are all in integer. No? So, associativity, so when you say A asterisk B, A asterisk C, ano ang translation yan dun sa definition? Based on the definition, it's AB. So it's a literal multiplication. So that would be 1 times 2 times 3. So that's how we do that. So basically this is equal to 6. And then A times BC. So that's again a literal multiplication here. So 1 times 2 times 3. So obviously this is 6. So that has associativity. Check. No? And then G2, no, definitely have an identity because so yung identity niya, so for instance G2, for G2 we have A times E is equal to A, or which is equal to say 1 times 1 is equal to 1. Or gawin na lang natin B yung given ko. B times E is equal to 2 times 1, which is equal to 2. And this is your B. So therefore, check. There's his identity. And then, yung sabi natin, walang G3 fails. G3 fails because if you would like to have an, say, C times C prime should be equal to E. Or I would say 3, what supposedly the reciprocal, it's 1/3. 1/3 would be equal to 1, so it fails on this portion. Meaning, 1/3 is not an element of integer. So therefore, it fails on G3. Alright? So yan yung illustration natin. And then ito yung illustration for number 2. So you could always refer to this Kylie's table. About number 3. Sige, you tell me, Dale, whether it's yes or no. Micaela also. Is it a group or not a group? Based on observation or inspection muna. And then saka natin titingnan. Okay, number 3.
Group po.
Is it a group or not a group? Associative. O, sige, let's have a... Kapordale, associative siya. So, for you, Micaela, is it... So, pasok. Since you're telling us that it's a group, so pasok siya. So, it's associative. Okay, so mamaya na ang sagutan yan. So, for here, say, kasi kung 1 times 2, so again, babalik tayo sa associativity, A times B, times C. So anong interpretation yan dito? So magkakaroon ka muna ng square root of A how will you interpret that?
Di po ba sir yung C under din sa radicand? Sa radicand.
Under ng? Oh, radicand din. Oh, radicand din siya. So pag ang mangyayari dyan, square root of A times B. So yan muna yung ano, no? Yan muna yung yung AB mo kasi is defined as square root of AB. Ngayon, pag sasabihin natin say yung AB is equal to K, halimbawa. So hindi muna natin pinapasok yung C. Yan muna, square root of AB yan, di ba? As defined is equal to K. Ngayon, paano mo ngayon ilalagay yan doon sa so A times B times C, pwede mo siyang i-simplify as K times C. Tama ba? Because we let as AB equal to K. Alright? Ay, hindi pala kasya.
Pero yung C sir, hindi siya kasama sa square root. Pahiwalay po siya.
Dali. I-ano ko na lang view to. Yung kaninang view na lang. Kasi gusto ko sana mas malaki. Ayan. So, nawala si Dale, no? Babalik ko na lang yung ating... Okay. Since AB is a square root of AB, by definition, as defined here, is we let it equal to K. If therefore AB, comma, kasi treated as 1 and asterisk C is equal to KC. And what is KC? Micaela, what's KC by definition? Square root of K times C. Tama? By definition. Kasi AB is equal to square root of AB. So, kung isa-substitute mo dyan, this is square root of, since K is equal to square root of AB, times C. Ayan, ganyan. Ganyan lalabas yan. Diba? At ano, obviously, associative ba? Kasi ang mangyayari yan, babaliktad yan. So yung A naman ng may iwan, mamaya, so ang mangyayari dyan, kung ang kukunin naman natin ay yung A times of B times C, ano dyan? Square root of A times square root of BC. Make sense ba?
Sir, hindi ko po gets yung K tas naging square root of KC. Kasi di ba po yung K square root of
Yun
AB.
yung definition eh. Tingnan mo, Micaela. Yung number 3. A asterisk B is equal to square root of AB. Asterisk is just a binary structure operation. It's not an actual operation. It will define a particular operation. So yung asterisk, kumakatawan dun sa square root. tapos may times pa. So whenever you perform that asterisk operation, it means square root of AB by that definition. Kaya nga nung linet natin siya K, bakit ko linet ng K? Para wag malito. No? Pero AB is equal to square root of AB. Nagets mo yun?
Opo, sir.
Oh, linet ko lang ng K. Wala namang problema. Linet na lang natin ng K. Oh, kasi, ngayon, kung isasama yung C, at least meron ka ng representation ng AB. A asterisk B, which is equal to K. And then, eventually, i-insert natin yung square root of AB doon. So, kasi yung KC, pag dinifine natin, K asterisk C, square root of KC. And what is K? Square root of AB. Ayan. Kaya siya square root in a square root. Alright? Ayan, si Dale naman, square root of CK. Pag i-square root mo yung CK, i-attach mo yung K, what is K? Square root of AB. Okay? Okay ba, Micaela? So, inisa-isa lang natin siya. Actually naman, pwedeng wala yung K. Pwede ko agad isalpak dito. Pag yung kinompute natin yung square, yung A asterisk B asterisk C, pwedeng ito agad ang sagot natin. Pwede ito agad. No? Pero masyadong mabilis. No? Kailangan kung malaman natin yung substitution. No? Kasi trinitreat yung A asterisk B as 1. Kaya i-equal ko siya kay K. Take note, this is a binary operation. Is always in a pair. Hindi pwedeng sabay-sabay tatlo. Kala nyo, iniisip nyo, tatlong sabay-sabay. Hindi ganon. This is a binary operation. So it must be a pair of variables. No? It's always a pair of variables here. Okay? Ang tanong, is it associative or not? Based on this. Okay, kahit mag-substitute pa tayo ng 1, 2, 3 dyan, I doubt if there will be the same answer. So for this case, assuming that you have 1, 2, 3, halimbawa lang ito, square root of, yan, square root of 1 times 2, 2. Tapos, saka ka magka-times 3, eventually. So, square root of 2, then times 3. Yan, di ba? Ang saya, no? Hirap ma-solve. So, yan yung magiging sagot niya. Ito naman, magiging square root of 1, mawawala na siya. Magiging square root of 2 times 3. Or square root of 6. Dahil may square pa siya doon, 4th root of 6. So, ibang-iba doon sa labas. So, therefore, I would say that this is no. It's a big no for number 3. 3 is a no. The reason is G1 fails. G1 fails. Okay? Okay, Micaela? G1 fails. If G1 fails, it's not a group. So, any of the G1, G2, G3. So, kung alin man dyan, ang hindi ma-satisfy, it's not a group. Okay, question? Yan. So, dapat ano rin tayo dyan, no? Iba pala yung na-live ko. Mali ako dito. So, nakaiba yung anyway, so I'll just delete those, delete forever ko na lang ito. Iba yung naka-live sa akin na, na file. Anyway, nevertheless. Alright. So, number 4 is similar to number 1, but this time it's a rational number. So, rational number. It's not just integer, but it's a rational number. Right? So, by inspection, so number 4, is it a group or not a group? So, it's similar to number 1. Though number 1 is integer, number 4 is rational.
Group po.
Come again?
Group, sir.
Bakit group?
Similar siya sa 1, tas yung inverse po nung A tsaka B is rational.
It could be an element kasi nga, Q is a rational expression. There is already an existing gawan nga natin table, Kylie's table. Yung katulad nito. Kylie's table tayo. Siguro, sige, 1, 2, 3 ulit. 1, 2, 3. Para, kaya lang kasi, sige. So, kasi may, ano na siya, Q na siya, no? It's already a Q. So, there already an existing Q. Okay. Pili ako ng 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, this 1 times 1 is, these are the identity element. So, check yan. So, sa PBT, I don't think there are problem. The only thing that we need to look is the inverse. So, 2. Ang problema ko dito yung 2 times 2, no? 2 times 2 is 4. Pasok. No, kasi ikot na naman siya, no? So, after 4, kailangan ng 0. Kailangan ng 0. Nandali. There must be a 0. I forgot. Ikaw, combine lang tayo dyan sa tatlong numbers na yan. Of course, this is 0. So, 2 times 2 is 0. Kasi after 3, ibabalik siya uli sa 0. Parang nag-series ka lang dyan eh. Lahat ng sagot mo, magsiserye lang 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Ganun lang siya. So, 2 times 2 is 0. 2 times 3 is supposed to be 6. Minus 4 is 2. Alright? 2 times 3. Dahil 2 times 3, based din sa Kylie's table na to. Ayan. Yes din si Dale sa ano, yes sa groups. No? Titignan natin kung papasok din sa Kylie's table. 2 times 3 is 6 in actual, pero 0, 1, 2, 3 lang gagamitin mo. So babalik ka ng 0, 1, 2. So 2. Kasi after 3, 4, 5, 6. So para magiging 0, 1, 2. And then 3 times 3, supposedly 9. Ano siya, Micaela, based dun sa Kylie's table. 3 times 3 here.
Three po.
So 3. Sure ka? 3? 3 times 3, 3? O 1? 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Ay, 0. 0 pala. Tama, no? 0? Or 0? Yes. 0, 0. 0 ba? Parang nalito tuloy ako magbilang. 0. Zero, no? Anyway, 0, 2. So, ibig sabihin, yung 2 times 2 na 4, 0. 0 pala to. Puro 0 to. 0. Ay, 2 times 2. Okay, tama to. Ito, 0. 0 din to, no? Ay. 0, 1. 1. 1. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 doon. 2 times 2, 0. Magulong multiplication, no? Paano gulo na sa multiplication, ah? So, kung 6, 0, 1 talaga. Nalito ako sa bilang. Dali guys, di dapat 0 to. So, ulit. Mali ako ng Kylie's table. Ulit. dapat sinimulan ko sa, kasi multiplication it must be started to 1. Kasi yun yung identity element, no? So pati ako nalito doon sa Kylie's table ng ano. No? Ipapakita natin dito yung identity which is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ito 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 2. Yan. 2 times 4 is 4. 3 times 2 is 2. 3 times 3 is 1. Yan. Yan. Ang point ko dito guys, though baka may problema yung Kylie's table, meron bang inverse? Such that aside from 1, may inverse ba si 2? May inverse ba si 3? May inverse ba si 4? Such that dapat yung lalabas sa sagot ay yung identity element. So far, yung identity itself, saka yung 3. How about the inverse of 2? Is there an existing inverse of 2 based on this? So definitely not. So sa 4, wala rin. Alright? Kasi unlike here, lahat meron siya. Yung kinuha na, of course, 0 itself is an identity element. Then when we add 2 to its inverse, that becomes 0. Yung 4 in its inverse, that's equal to 0. So lahat ng elements na satisfy, including the identity element itself. So kung may tatlo ka dito, that masatisfy, may inverse yung tatlong element. 0, 2, 4. Pagdating dito, so of course, identity element 1, nandun. Yung 3, meron. So in itself. How about 2 and 4? Micaela, meron ka mong nakikitang inverse? Wala, di ba? Wala. Wala kang makikitang inverse dyan ng 2 and 4. So if there are elements of the system that doesn't have inverse, it fails on this category. So all must have its inverse. Okay, so this case, yung number 2 lang, itself pa. Yung sarili niya pang inverse. Kung i-define natin as 1 as an identity element for this multiplication. Therefore, no, G3 fails. The same as number 1. G3 fails. Right? Now, this number 4, your take home would be number 5 and 6. Take home number 5 and 6. So again, this is 1-4. Take note, Micaela. So that would be okay. Are you still there, Micaela? So take home yan. Now, number 4 and 5. Siguro extend ko na siya. Number 5 pala, rather. 5, 6, 7. So 5, 6, 7. 5 to 7. numbers 5 to 7. Under this lesson 1-4, okay? Now, I will be solving number 8. Okay? We can also consider multiplication or modulo n in z sub n. For instance, 5 modulo 7. No? 6 is equal to 2. Parang may hindi ako nakikita doon. Ayan. So we define here at Z7 because 5 times 6 is equal to 30. No? And this is equal to 4 times 7 plus 2. The set 1357 in multiplication model 8 is a group. Give the table for this group. So yung modulo. So more on, of course, multiplication ito. Alright, ito, masusubok yung, ito, this is a modulo multiplication. No? Wherein you have elements 1, 3, 5, 7. Alright? See, this is modulo 8. So this is a C7 or modulo 8. M8 na lang siguro. Modulo 8. So 1, 3, 5, 7. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Of course, we have here the identity element 1. So 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. So pag modulo 8 siya, ibig sabihin, hanggang 8 lang. So ang characters mo ay from 0 to 7. 0 to 7 siya. Alright? So dapat magpupuldo sa 1, 3, 5, 7 yung sagot. No? Pag wala dun sa 1, 3, 5, 7 yung sagot, hindi na siya group. But this is a claim for a modulo 8 is a group with this integer 7. So meaning 1, 3, 5, 7. Whose set is 1, 3, 5, 7. So let's try. 3 times 3 is it's 9. However, it's modulo 8. So 9 minus 8 is 1. So pasok. How about 3 times 15? So in reality, Michaela, what's 3 times 15?
45.
At 3 times 15 lang. 3 times 5 rather. 45, correct. 3 times 5 is 15. So saan siya magpupol? So 15 minus 8 is 7. 7. So pasok pa rin. How about 3 times 7 is 21? 21. Ano yung multiple of 8 na malapit? 16. 21 minus 16 is 5. So 5. How about 5 times 13? This had happened already. 5 times 13. Hindi pa. 5 times 3 is 15. It's 7. No? And then 7 times 3 here, it's 21 minus 16, it's 5. Then nagigets mo ba yung table? Okay, 5 times 5 is 25 minus the largest multiple of 8, 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. That's modulo multiplication. So 5 times 7 is 35. What's the largest multiple of 8, Micaela?
32 po.
Okay. 32. 32, so 35 is 3. So kasi 35 minus 32. Then you have also here 3. 5 times 7 is 3. 7 times 7, pinakamataas ay 48. So 49 minus 48 is 1. So what can you see here, guys? So it satisfies, of course, associativity will be satisfied. It will satisfy identity. It's 1, and it has inverse. Each of the number has a corresponding inverse by looking at the product, which is equal to 1. Unfortunately, the number itself is the inverse. No? The number itself is the inverse based on this definition. Ayan, that is the table. Alright, for number 8. So that's the table requirement. No, for the modulo multiplication. Okay, kaya lang, have clarification. So that's number 8, no? So you will work
Sa
on...
inverse lang. Medyo nalilito lang.
Sige. Actually, nakakalito talaga to eh. Kahit ako, nalilito eh.
Sir, yung sa inverse lang po.
Sa inverse. Sa inverse, yes.
Paano po siya malalaman dito po sa ganitong table?
Yung mga product niya, may product siyang 1. So, halimbawa, sa 1, may product na 1. Ibig sabihin, inverse niya yung 1. Yung 3, may product siyang 1. Kasi yan yung identity element mo eh. Yung 3, yung sarili niya rin. No? Pero yan, mahiwaga talaga tong group na to. Kasi in itself is its inverse. No? So, yung sarili niyang 5, now based on the modulo operation, is the inverse. 7 times 7 is equal to 1. So, 1 is the inverse. 1 is the identity. Therefore, kung ano yung kapartner niya na factor kapag ang product ay 1, yan yung inverse niya. And it satisfies all of the elements has inverse. Alright?
Okay.
Yan. So, wag na natin isipin paano nangyari yung sarili niya yung inverse. Next time. Okay, so, yan, number 9. Okay, number 9 and 10. Take home also. Nine and 10. Aside from the previous one, assignment. So, yan, 5 to 7, 9 and 10.
So, ano pa yung 1 to 4? Nakalagay sa taas.
Ito yung ano natin ngayon, module 1-4. Pwede namang wala ito. Ayan, 5 to 7 lang. Para in-specify ko lang, baka ano. So, numbers 5 to 7 of module 1-4. So, and then 9 and 10. Alright? That is exercise number 10. Alright, so siguro I will stop muna dito. So this time, we will go back to our lecture. Though pwede na natin itong gawin kasi application ng group sa matrices. No? Sa matrices. I will be discussing this first before I give a take home. Siguro next week, we'll be looking into this questions regarding matrices. Matrices, yung inversible matrices, meaning there's an inverse of a matrix. Pasok yung square matrix doon sa group. So, pero may mga limitation siya. Okay, so di-discuss natin yan. Siguro magpa-practice na kayo, Dale. If you could hear me in the YouTube channel. So, pwedeng you could practice. Siguro until such time, siguro tapusin natin tong mga matrices na to. And then some other assignments sooner or later. Okay? So, dyan muna. So, So just read the theorems, the concepts of the book. So medyo mahaba kasi reading yan, but it takes time. And ayan, pwedeng mag-practice, no? Lalo na yung mga examples dyan sa module. No? But my concern here is more on the manner that we could answer these problems, this question, and to provide some take-home activity for you. That will be due upon the end of the midterm exam. Okay? So basta mamaya, magpa-pop up na lang yung form regarding the prelim. So you just upload immediately. So perhaps I'll be giving plus 2 days for that upload. No, kung the day of my upload or creation of the modification of the form, and then you just upload your prelim examination. Okay? Then para magtuloy-tuloy na tayo. Okay, so far that's it. I think ganyan muna, readings. Basahin natin. Siguro start reading until 1-7. So we still have until 1-7 of the first section. We're dealing here with section by section. So if you will see, ang ating section 1 hanggang 1-7. So try to read and of course make some preparation on the exercises. I'll just assign exercises from time to time. So at least you could practice already on other exercises. Okay? So for the meantime, yan muna. So para wag maipon, ayan, solve na kayo. Mag-solve na kayo ng mga take-home exercises. Aside from the one that I have mentioned last time, yung 1-3 natin. Okay, Micaela? Okay. You have clarification? So far yan muna. So by the way, groups, pag sinabing groups, it must be an associative. It should have identity element and it must have inverse in all of its elements. Now it's all in all its inclusive elements. There must be an inverse. And the identity is also present as an element. And there is associativity as far as the operation is concerned. So that will make it a group. However, there is a special group called abelian if it is commutative. No, pag kasama yung commutativity doon, no, doon meron kasing mga associative na hindi commutative eh. Ano natin yan? Hindi naman necessaryong subsume ang commutativity sa associativity. So there are cases that it's not. And that's a special group. We call it abelian group when it is commutative. Okay? Other thoughts, Micaela, before we close? So, siguro yun muna ang ating discussion for today.
Wala naman na.
Okay, so far, yun na lang, no? You're done. Tapos naman, no? Tapos ang exams, no? Wala nang pending exams sa Micaela, no? All were submitted, 115. Ano pa ba? Yung 1, 2, 3, no? Your 1, 2, 3, and 113. Tama ba? 3 lang yung courses ko sa'yo.
Yes po.
Okay. Dale, si Dale yata nakapag-submit na rin, no? But anyway, yung pending na lang, yung uploads nyo ng 1, 2, 3. Okay? Sige. Dale, are you still there? Dale? Ayan. So anyway, so i-review na lang ni Dale. Anyway, hindi pa ako nag-upload ng panibagong video, no? So perhaps within this week, I'll be uploading the week 8 videos for all of our courses. So tomorrow, ako pa rin magdi-discuss, no? The first report will be next week pa, Micaela, no? Tama? Week number 9 for our 115.
Opo, sir.
Tama, no? Wala. So I still take charge of the lecture, no? So sige. Sige, let's close. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity that we discuss some exercises about groups, its definition, concepts. I pray, Lord, that you may continually guide us, even the students, for their readings and further readings on the definition of some of the structures of these numbers that corresponds to the group or abelian group, and other categories, Lord. I pray for your grace to us to have an understanding of this and this branch of mathematics. Though this is it may not have a direct application on a real life, but it's still important in some other aspects of mathematics, and this needs to be appreciated, most especially for math majors, Lord. We thank you and continually bless Dale and Micaela as they progress on their study. Bless their ministry as well and provide grace as they continue to progress at LD Woosley and provide blessing for them as they plan to serve you in this teaching ministry, Lord. We thank you, we honor you. This is our prayer in Christ's name. Amen. Okay, thank you, Dale and Micaela. God bless you. See you next week. By the way, thank you for your time, no? Dahil ayan, Dale, medyo problematic yung internet. So but thank you for your time and for bearing with me as I troubleshooting some technical issues on my broadcast. Okay, God bless us all.